So I'm pretty sure the question that you were talking about was question 3, if I recall correctly. If not, let me know. I apologize in advance. I'm going to go through both parts. I think that you said that you specifically needed help on the angle portion. However, you can fast forward to that part if you don't need help on the first part. I figured just give you information on both and let you choose what helps you the best, okay? So if I want to look for, we're trying to solve the measure of AC first. So we're looking for the length of the entire diagonal, right? They've given us some information to work with. Some of it might be helpful, some of it might not. We're told that AD is 14. So we have a side length of 14. And then we know that EC is 11. Now EC is just 1/2 of our diagonal, and that's 11. Okay, so let's think about what we know about diagonals of parallelograms. All right, for the properties of parallelograms, we know that the diagonals bisect each other. Okay, that's pretty much all we know about them. They cut each other into 2 perfect halves. So that means that where they cross, they've cut each other into 2 equal pieces. So like if this is the intersection, then at the intersection, this half is going to be equal to this half, and this half is going to be equal to this half. 2 equal pieces. Dissect means to cut into 2 equal parts. Okay? So that does help us with some information because we know that EC, or this half of the diagonal, is 11. So this one also has to be 11, okay, because they cut each other into 2 equal parts. So if I know that this half is 11 and this half is 11, then I know that the entire length is 2 times 11, or 22. Okay. So even though they gave us this 14, here we didn't have to use it. All right, so now let's take a look at the angle portion of this question. I always like to try and figure out what exactly it is they're asking us for to begin with. So we're trying to figure out the measure of ABD. ABD is this internal angle right here. That's what we need to find, okay? And we've been given some information. Again, some of it might help, some of it might not. So let's see what they've given us. We know that ABC is 64. That could be helpful. So ABC is this entire angle. So not just the red portion, but the red all the way from line AB to line BC. So that entire angle is 64 degrees. Now we need the little red portion of that. So that could be helpful. Let's find out. They've also given us DAC. DAC is what appears to be this obtuse angle. Not the entire angle, but just this portion from line AD to AC. And we have been told that that is also equal, or that is equal to 71. So we have that. And then we're given BDC. So here's BDC. BDC is going to be this angle right here. BDC. 25 degrees. Now there's a lot of different ways that we can use this information to figure out the angle that we're looking for, okay? Let me make a quick adjustment here. Maybe a little bigger. Feel free to fast forward this part. There you go. So this was 64 degrees for the entire angle. All right, so we're looking for ABC, the red, which means that let's look at the relationship it has. So we could try to figure out, we know that it's part of the angle for 64, but we don't know the other portion. I don't see any direct relationship to 71, although we could probably use that information to figure something out. Now we know that if this angle is 64, then this angle opposite of it is 64, but that's not going to help us out, not directly anyway. But what we do know is that we have a parallelogram, and because we have a parallelogram, we know that this line is going to be that both sides are parallel to each other. So this side is parallel to this side. So if I use this line as a transversal, it becomes clear that we have an alternate interior angle situation. So the angle we're looking for is going to be alternate interior to this angle. You have alternate interior angles using a transversal. And alternate interior angles are congruent. So since we know that this angle is 25 degrees and that it's congruent to the alternate interior angle, we know that this one has to be 25 degrees. Okay. Now, when we're looking at that, there's a couple of things. So broad things to know. In a parallelogram, the small angles, interior angles formed by the diagonal, are always going to be congruent to each other. So x is always going to be congruent to x, right? And y is always going to be congruent to y. Okay, alternate interior. And that goes for, you know, sets, both sets. So on both diagonals, you have alternate interior angle pairs. Okay. Also, the entire angle is going to be incongruent to its opposite entire angle. So directly opposite of each other, the large angle, the entire angle B, entire angle D are congruent. Entire angle A would be congruent to entire angle C. And then on the interior angles, alternate interior angles are congruent inside. Okay, so keep those relationships in mind.